West Bengal. In the run-up to the Panchayat polls, the Supreme Court today dismissed the Bengal Election Commission's plea over the deployment of central forces in the state. Now, the Apex Court came down heavily on the State Election Commission and said they should not have any grievance with the High Court directing the deployment of central forces in every district, as it would ensure free and fair elections are conducted in the non-sensitive areas as well. Remember, the opposition parties in the state have been criticizing the State Commission's move to contest the High Court order. So first, let's break down the details in terms of what did we hear from the top court today, what was the plea about, and why has it been a setback for the West Bengal Election Commission and the state government, which is the TMC. The Supreme Court, mincing no words, has gone on to say that there is absolutely nothing wrong in the High Court order as far as deployment of central forces are concerned. They've also gone on to say the West Bengal Election Commission shouldn't have any grievance with the High Court order because the Supreme Court believes that holding elections can't be a license for violence. The Supreme Court has also gone on to say that the direction will now aid the West Bengal Election Commission in fulfilling their responsibilities. They've also gone on to say responsibility of the State Election Commission to conduct a free and fair election, free and fair polls. They've also gone on to say where forces come from is not the State Election Commission's concern. The top court has also gone on to say that there is no interference that is needed in any order as far as the Calcutta High Court is concerned. Before we bring in our guests, let's listen in to some political reactions.
Just we came to know about this, that the Honorable Supreme Court, in a way, has shown a clear mirror to the West Bengal government. They have been totally exposed. Supreme Court has said that the State Election Commissioner itself asked for deployment of the forces. And now you are opposing the deployment of the forces. In a way, you are ridiculing your own previous stand. And this also shows that there is some nefarious design which is going on, and particularly when this type of rampant violence is very much there in the public domain.
I am not here as a representative of West Bengal government or State Election Commission. As a representative of All India Trinamool Congress, I can say that a student who studies hard throughout the year, he hardly cares about the invigilator in the examination hall. He knows whosoever the invigilator is, he is going to score high because he is very well prepared. Similarly, Trinamool Congress works for the people at large throughout the year under the guidance of Madam Mamata Banerjee. So during the election, Trinamool Congress is very much confident to be bestowed upon by the blessings of the common people during the poll, because 364 days a year Trinamool Congress works for the people, and on the 365th day, that is on the day of poll, people support Trinamool Congress democratically.
Let's also now bring in our guests. We have columnist Pratim Ranjan Bose joining us. We also have political analyst Tausif Ahmed Khan also now joining us on the broadcast. Good evening, gentlemen. Good to have both of you with us this evening here on CNN News 18. Tausif, let's begin the conversation with you. The word that came in from the top court, mincing no words, they said we don't see any issue as far as the High Court's order is concerned, which means there is no issue as far as deployment of central forces are concerned. This, of course, will be a setback for the State Election Commission and the state government as well. Firstly, how do you see what we heard from the top court today?
You see, this order is not a surprise. Does not surprise people of Bengal. People of Bengal have seen state elections in 2021 were conducted under heavy central forces deployment. In fact, the state elections were conducted in various phases. And prior to that, in the 2019 elections also, there were central forces deployment during the elections period. So this is nothing new. And since the one avenue was available, it is okay for state government or the SEC to try their luck in a higher forum, and they have approached the court. And court, since it is sitting in a vacation bench, and generally most of the SLPs, the majority of SLPs, if you check the record, are dismissed. But we cannot forget that not very long ago, couple of months ago, this very Supreme Court had passed an order in favor of the one of the petitioner representing the advocate representing the Trinamool MPs, where one of the judges had gone, out of his discretion and made public comment in one of the matter before it, and Supreme
No,
Court had
so
intervened.
Tosi, just help me
And
understand
then-
this. You
and
said that there is no surprise as far as the people of Bengal are concerned with the verdict that has come in from the Supreme Court. Now, you would also agree that there has been an unfortunate pattern of violence in the state of West Bengal every single time an election is conducted. So when the Supreme Court says that we don't see an issue as far as the High Court order is concerned, because the deployment of central forces will only ensure that there will be free and fair elections, why did the TMC, the State Election Commission, even feel in the first place as far as the filing of this plea is concerned? Wouldn't all of us want free and fair elections?
We all want a free and fair election, but we cannot forget in the past there is a record that in the North Bengal during the 2021 election, central forces deployed by the central government were involved in notorious activities. They were involved in roughing up the voters who came in one particular booth. They opened fire and it resulted in death of a Trinamool worker. So, the central forces have set up a precedent for them in the past. You cannot give a clean chit that central forces, the deployment of central forces means there would be no violence. Sometimes violence is perpetrated or exaggerated by the forces themselves.
That's a big allegation that you're making, Tausif. You're making a big allegation as far as the central forces are concerned, because the point that you're making is that even despite the deployment of the central forces, things haven't changed in the past. You're also going one step forward and saying sometimes violence is perpetrated by the central forces. Pratham, how do you see the criticism that's coming in from Tausif? He's saying we don't know if the deployment of central forces will make much difference on the ground.
But there has been a tendency in this state to exclude itself from the rest of the country. It has been going on for pretty long and is now peaking. So I see it that way. Central force is coming, and these Jawans or whoever it is, someone may make error or not, I am not here to judge. But the point is that these guys have no stake in the local politics, period. And the election is done, general elections and assembly elections are done across the country. It is organized by the Election Commission of India.
Yeah.
So it is a completely different setup. There is no point in challenging that. Challenging that means you are challenging the entire nation, Ganga. The second thing is because you don't have a better option.
Okay.
When you are blaming central forces, the first as a citizen of the state, I have little trust, or people have little trust on their own police force. That is the unfortunate truth.
Okay.
Otherwise, why would this happen? The way things are, let's leave every other issues and the history behind. I am not very believer in this history because, every government comes with a promise to do something better. That's it. We expect the government to do better. We don't expect the government to show us, what left front did, what that did, what that did. That's not a point of reference.
But, Pratim, what I'm essentially trying to understand is for how long can the state government completely step back and say we have no responsibility as far as these episodes of violence are concerned? Time and again, this is the point that we've been discussing. As far as law and order situation is concerned, that's a state subject. For how long can the TMC say that it's the BJP that is polarizing the narrative? We don't have faith as far as the deployment of the central forces is concerned. At the end of the day, there will have to be some accountability.
Should I respond?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Pratim. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So see, at this very moment when we are talking roughly 20% of the seats, in 24 blocks, entire block Trinamool has been elected unopposed. And overall 20% of the seats in 50 blocks.
Okay.
They have been elected unopposed. Now, I have a simple question to you. The world is talking about the violence. Please understand, whenever there is a case of violence, it also means that there has been some resistance, however small or little it might be.
Okay.
But What does this tell you? 24 blocks. You mean there was no opposition? No one was ready to file a nomination paper. Not even an independent.
Okay.
What does it signify? See, my point is very simple. In West Bengal, winning does not matter, particularly in polls which are organized by the state.
Okay.
Winning doesn't matter. For opposition, I'm talking about.
Okay.
Filing nomination is as good or 50% of winning.
Okay.
This is a fact.
Okay. So Tausif, I want to bring you back in the conversation. Now, when we started the discussion, you said we're not seeing this as a setback because this was on expected lines. And many of the TMC leaders all through the day have gone on to say that, whatever the decision of the Supreme Court may, just wait as far as the results of the Panchayat polls are concerned. We are very sure as far as our performance is concerned. What the TMC has also been saying that it's the BJP that is exaggerating the narrative. Largely, the nomination process has been peaceful, barring a few episodes of violence. If that's the claim that the TMC is making, then who does the TMC think is the real perpetrators of violence?
See, in one of the speech given by the Chief Minister herself, she has mentioned that at times, party cannot accommodate everyone who aspires to fight, to contest in the election. And therefore, some disgruntled, worker, they resort to some kind of nuisance. That is one reason. Second, for opposition, it suits them. Opposition would want violence to take place so that they can somehow create a narrative, because Mamata Banerjee government has not left any single narrative for any single issue for opposition to fight election on. Okay. Mamata Banerjee government is working on Kanya Shri, has given Swasthya Sathi card, is given a Lakshmi Bhandar. This government has come with hordes of people welfare programs, and people across the rural areas especially have benefited from it.
Okay.
And also the women have especially benefited from it.
Okay.
So on the administrative issues, they have nothing they could go to people with. Therefore, to set some kind of narrative, they want violence. They want violence so that it will help them build some narrative so they can come to TV, come to social media and cry, look what is happening in Bengal. Okay. But people know ultimately it is the people who will judge the government. It is the people who will vote and bring candidates to win the election. Therefore, as one of the spokesperson of the Trinamool had said, that we are rest assured. They are rest assured that people are going to vote.
So you're saying this is a deliberate attempt by the opposition to try and create unrest because they don't really have any administrative issues to take to the people. But Pratim, I still come back to the point that I started the conversation with. Why is it that Bengal still continues to become this curious case which has episodes of violence, being reported every single time there's an election or even a big event that takes place in the state? Why is it so difficult for Bengal to shed this image as far as violence is concerned?
See, first of all, West Bengal has many peculiarities. You will see in every left governed society, they have created a party society. That had been the case with Bengal. Now, there were two other states, but there are many divisions in those states along the line of religion. Sometimes, as in Tripura, there is a Bengali and the tribal sentiment. So, there are different fault lines. In West Bengal, somehow or the other, please understand that West Bengal, Hindus in West Bengal have very low casteism. Okay, so all put together, what happened over here is there has been a creation of a party society. Now that party society was being under threat for quite some time because the prime opposition, Congress, has been going down, and then they were having friendship in the center and enmity in the states. All kinds of nonsense was going on. Now what happened is that, let's cut short, what happened is West Bengal's economy has gone for a 6. And every damn thing in this state is highly dependent on the money that is flowing through. And this money, huge welfare spent by the center, mostly. See, the state money is limited. It is basically the central funds and which is coming through and is being distributed through these panchayats. Now, everywhere there has been a stake, and it is not limited to that. It is not limited to that. There has been a whole, your business is here is very much related to the political hold.
Okay.
And I'm not detailing because it will take a lot of time. So every election, you have to ensure complete domination. It is an area domination.
Yeah.
You cannot allow any kind of opposition debate in this society. It is, we live here to know it.
Okay.
Debates are not done.
Yeah.
Now that is finally leading to this violence. It is an extremely violent society.
Yeah, because that debate is still on in terms of if the TMC is saying that we're losing our own workers, we have nothing to do as far as violence is concerned. The BJP is saying the TMC has no hold as far as law and order situation is concerned. So who really is fueling the fire as far as violence is concerned? And now will we see peace prevail post the verdict that has come in from the Supreme Court? Unfortunately, I'll have to leave that conversation there. I'd like to thank both our guests for joining us this evening. Let's shift our focus to what's taking place in Karnataka, where a massive political face-off has now erupted between the newly elected Congress government and the BJP over Karnataka government's Annabhagya scheme. The Congress staged massive protests in Mangaluru against the centre for allegedly restraining the FCI from selling rice to the state. The BJP, on the other hand, also held a counter-protest against the Grand Old Party in Bengaluru. Former Chief Minister Basvaraj Bommai was also detained earlier in the day during the protest. Heating out at the Siddaramaiah government, the former Chief Minister said the Congress has failed to fulfill all promises made before the polls. Remember, the Annabhagya scheme promises 10 kgs of rice to families living below the poverty line. The Congress has blamed the central government for delay in implementation of the scheme.
Congress launching a massive protest today to protest against the union government, which they call is handing out a stepmotherly treatment to the Karnataka government here by not allowing the FCI to sell rice to Karnataka to fulfill its ambitious Annabhagya program here. Remember, 5 kgs being given under Annabhagya, and one of the major guarantees of the Congress party is to increase it to 10 kgs. And now Karnataka is scouting for rice. In fact, they have reached out to Telangana, Andhra government and even Punjab government as well. But it's only Chhattisgarh from where they have got some assurance of at least 1.5 lakh metric ton of rice being provided. Congress workers here, you can see, cooking rice, protesting against the BJP government, the union government, saying that the union government wants to scuttle the Congress's ambitious Annabhagya program. They're scared that it will bring popularity to the government and, in fact, damage the chances of the BJP in the 2024 Lok Sabha election.
They are doing hate politics. This is anti-poor. You must note down this. These are the facts. Instead of making allegations, false allegations like this, Basvaraj Bommai should have spoken to Government of India and see that rice is supplied. Because it is a program given by the party to whom you are giving to poor people, whether they belong to BJP, whether they belong to any caste or any religion. We are supplying to all poor people. That it is a politically motivated.
As row over the implementation of the Annabhagya scheme in Karnataka escalates, the BJP workers and leaders have started protesting here in Bengaluru against the Siddaramaiah government. Now remember, the whole row regarding implementation of the Annabhagya scheme escalated after the FCI discontinued the sale of rice to the states under the OMSS. Now Siddaramaiah government accused the union government at this center led by the Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, stating that it is doing hate politics. That's the reason why FCI has discontinued the sale of rice to the states under OMSS. Now remember, the BJP government at the very same time hit back at Siddaramaiah government by stating that Siddaramaiah government is now unable to implement the Annabhagya scheme, and that's the reason why they are telling such lies and misleading the people of Karnataka. So now, as you can see in the visuals, for the very same reason, BJP leaders, former revenue minister and other party workers are staging protests here in Bengaluru and 10 other centers here in Karnataka as well. As you can see in the visuals, they are holding placards which read, "The guarantees of the Congress doesn't have any warranty," and they are misleading the people and did this just for votes. And also all the schemes will be stopped once the Lok Sabha election ends.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೊಂದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೊಂದು. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಫ್ರೀ ಬಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರು. ಈಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ 10 ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಅಕ್ಕಿ ಕೊಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರ, ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮೋಸ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಶಾಕ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದೊಂದು ಜನ ವಿರೋಧಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಅಂತ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ನಿರೂಪಣೆ ಆಗಿದೆ.
Well, we'll keep tracking all these developments and much more, but for now we're slipping into a very short break.
It's a big week for Indian diplomacy as Prime Minister Narendra Modi comes for his first ever state visit to the United States. Join me, Zaka Jacob, as I'll be live both from here, New York City, as well as Washington, D.C., as we discuss the defense deals that are likely to be signed, the Indo-US strategic cooperation, the growing threat of China, and of course, the long shadow of the Russia-Ukraine war. All that and more, all through this week. Special broadcasts from America here on CNN News 18.
पॉडकास्ट आनंद दुबे जी, आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया CNN न्यूज़ 18 से जुड़ने के लिए। आपकी पार्टी ने एक डिमांड करी है कि जून 20 को ट्रेटर्स डे डिक्लेयर कर देना चाहिए। इस पे आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
देखिए, ऐसा जैसे कि हम लोग कहते हैं ना कि आज भाई विश्व का योगा दिवस है, आज अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा दिवस है, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय पर्यावरण दिवस है, ऐसे हम लोग कहते हैं। उसी प्रकार आज ही के दिन महाराष्ट्र में एक ऐसी घटना घटी थी जो दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण थी। एक रनिंग सरकार को कुछ लोगों ने षड्यंत्र करके गिरा दिया था, गद्दारी करके गिरा दिया था। तो उसके बाद उन्हीं समय के बीजेपी के और शिवसेना, जो कथित शिवसेना, उनके नेताओं ने कहा था कि 37 देशों ने इसकी जानकारी ली है, इसको देखा है। तो जब एक देश से मामला कई देशों में चला गया, तभी तो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय हो गया। तो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय हो ही गया है, तो क्यों ना फिर इसका दिवस भी मनाया जाए कि भाई आज ही के दिन गद्दारी हुई थी। और पूरी दुनिया को समझ में आए कि देखिए, किसी को मदद करके, किसी को ताकत देकर आप बड़ा बनाते हैं, एक दिन वो इतना बड़ा बनना चाहता है कि आपको ही समाप्त कर देता है, आपके अस्तित्व पर ही चैलेंज खड़ा कर देता है। तो इस प्रकार से चिट्ठी लिखी गई है। अब चूंकि अब संजय राउत साहब ने चिट्ठी लिखी है यूनाइटेड नेशन के प्रमुख को, देखते हैं क्या होता है।
जी, आनंद दुबे जी, आप बने रहिए हमारे साथ बीजेपी से तुहिन सिन्हा भी जुड़ रहे हैं। मिस्टर सिन्हा, वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग टू यू। सो Shiv Sena UBT has been demanding that June 20th should be declared as Traitors Day, since this was the day when Shinde faction merged with the BJP and formed the government, and they decided to part ways with the Mahavikas Aghadi. What's your take on this?
Good morning. Well, Sanjay Raut clearly needs psychiatric help. And if he has written this letter with the permission of Uddhav ji, then I'm afraid the entire Uddhav Sena also needs psychiatric help. You know, first of all, this is an internal matter of the country. To make it a public spectre for the world shows the immaturity of Uddhav Sena, shows that they are ill-equipped, they are incapable of, conducting themselves in the Indian democracy.
Today, NCP will be protesting in Pune to mark Traitors Day. Now, Shiv Sena UBT MP Sanjay Raut has written a letter to UN saying that June 20th should be declared as Traitors Day, and NCP will also be holding a protest in Pune to mark Traitors Day. Now, the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray camp has been speaking about it for the last 2 days. In fact, Uddhav Thackeray had said that after the foundation day of the Shiv Sena, which was yesterday, is the Gaddar Day that is today. On June 20 last year, remember, Eknath, Shinde and some MLAs had gathered at a hotel in Surat to break away from the Mahavikas Aghadi government. CNN News 18's Mumbai Bureau Chief Vinaya Deshpande is joining us on this story. Vinaya, a very good morning to you. Could you give us more details about this demand that has been raised by the Shiv Sena UBT for declaring June 20th as the Traitors Day?
A very good morning to you. In fact, we have seen that politics over this has been raging in Maharashtra for the last few days, especially on the background of the 57th Foundation Day that was celebrated yesterday by the faction claiming to carry the true legacy of the Shiv Sena and of Sahib Thackeray. Now, in view of that, we have seen in the last few days, the UBT faction has kept on slamming Eknath Shinde, saying that it was, the Traitor's Day, which was to be celebrated after the Foundation Day, which was on the 19th of June, because ostensibly this was the same day when a bunch of MLAs, along with Eknath Shinde, had in fact on this line moved to thereby bringing down the government thereafter and changing political equations in Maharashtra almost permanently. So on that background, today several protests have been lined up. In fact, planned protest which is going to take place is the one that is going to be held by the NCP in Pune, but in Mumbai as well. At several locations, police bandobast has been beefed up. May it be Worli, may it be Daddar. It is likely that the Shiv Sena UBT faction as well might protest in order to mark today's day as the Traitor's Day. Meanwhile, Shiv Sena UBT faction member of parliament Sanjay Raut has tweeted early morning today saying that this is a public demand that he has now written to the UN seeking that 20th June be declared as World Traitors Day. This is ostensibly on the background of the recent fight between the two parties we had seen where Eknath Shinde and his team had boasted about the kind of international reputation that Eknath Shinde has with respect to his work schedule and how internationally several leaders were amazed by his efficiency. And so was there a slamming of Uddhav Thackeray as internationally being chosen as one of the best chief ministers when he was the chief minister. So on that background now there is this fresh war of words that has erupted. We have seen Sanjay Raut put out a fresh tweet saying that today's day should be marked as World Traitors Day in view of marking the day when all these people went away. So the war of words between both the factions continues. Today we might see some protests in some parts, especially in Pune at least, where the NCP has a stronghold. NCP itself is going to hold a protest. Later in the day, we might see protests in Mumbai as well, but there is no official word on it as of now. But continuing with the war of words, both Uddhav Thackeray as well as the NCP have said in the last few days that today is ostensibly the Traitor's Day because today was the day when Eknath Shinde, along with a bunch of MLAs, had jumped fences and had gone to Surat. Back to you.
Also, Vinaya, do we have any reaction from the Shinde Sena on this Traitor's Day remark?
Well, for the last 2 to 3 days, these remarks have been, made, and that is why we have seen that Eknath Shinde himself, while in his address on the Foundation Day, had spoken about it. Today, as such, there is no fresh response. This is not a fresh war of words anyway. For the last 2 to 3 days, we have seen these kind of reactions go on and off. And to that, Eknath Shinde and his faction have also responded, slamming Uddhav Thackeray and his faction, saying that, we saw even on stage yesterday, Gaddar Din spoke about it.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. There is never a dull day as far as politics of Maharashtra is concerned. Recalling the rebellion by Eknath Shinde and his faction, the Shiv Sena, Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray leader Sanjay Raut has written a letter to the United Nations urging them to declare the 20th of June as World Traitors Day. Obviously, taking a dig at the Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, Sanjay Raut explained why he wants the 20th of June to be declared as Traitors Day. Sanjay Raut went on to say that on the 20th of June, a huge group of 40 legislators from the Shiv Sena left after being instigated by the BJP, and the BJP used all its might to ensure that cracks emerged in the Mahavikas Aghadi government and the fall of Uddhav Thackeray. NCP today also joined in. They held protests outside the party office to mark Traitors Day. Supriya Sule was also present for this protest. So let's break down the details in terms of what are we hearing from the likes of Sanjay Raut, what is the BJP saying, and what are the allies as far as the Mahavikas Aghadi are saying. So why is Sanjay Raut asking for the 20th of June to be declared as World Traitors Day? You have Sanjay Raut, who in fact is now written to the United Nations. He's saying let's declare 20th of June as Traitors Day because this was the day when Eknath Shinde and his group in fact betrayed Uddhav Thackeray. So we want this day to be remembered for people as Traitors Day. As I pointed out, the NCP also joined in as far as protests were concerned. They protested in Pune against the sitting Chief Minister. They also once again reiterated that you should mark the 20th of June as Traitors Day or Gaddar Day, because they went on to say that the Shinde government is khokhle or hollow. Let's now talk to you about what the BJP is saying. The BJP's Nitesh Rane has also written to the United Nations. He in fact is saying, let's mark the 27th of July as Traitors Day, because that was the day Uddhav Thackeray backstabbed his father's ideal. So who really is speaking the truth, and what really is the future of the politics of Maharashtra? We'll take that to our guests in just a bit. Let's listen in to some political reactions first.
आज जागतिक गद्दार दिन आम्ही मागणीच केलेली आहे संजय राऊतांनी. ते काय कोणते त्यांची युनोकडे का कोणाकडे करतात, कारण ते निवडणूक आयोगाकडे नाही ना. नाही, शेवटी गद्दार किती झालं तरी गद्दारच राहणार. आणि मला एवढंच म्हणायचं की असंतोषाला कुठे वाचा उडायला देऊ नका, कारण लोकांच्या मनात असंतोष उमसतोय आता. आणि याने किती काही म्हटलं तर यांच्या कपाळावरचा गद्दारीचा शिक्का काही पुसला जाणार नाही.
आजच सकाळी मी युनायटेड नेशन्स ला एक पत्र लिहिलेलं आहे आणि त्यांना विनंती केलेली आहे की 27 जुलै हा देशद्रोही दिवस म्हणून साजरा करायला पाहिजे आणि त्यासाठी त्यांनी आम्हाला मान्यता द्यावी. 27 जुलैला उद्धव ठाकरेचा जन्मदिवस आहे आणि त्याच्यापेक्षा मोठा देशद्रोही गद्दार परत काय जन्माला येणार नाही.
Let's also now bring in our guests. We have leader from the Shiv Sena, Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray faction, Kishore Tiwari. We'll shortly be joined by the senior editor of Swaraj magazine, Tushar Gupta, as well. Kishore ji, good to have you with us here on CNN News 18. Why is Sanjay Raut wanting the 20th of June to be declared as Traitors Day?
On 20th June, the 40 MLAs on the of our party left us on the, and the whole split was engineered by BJP. So that Khokhe Sena or a Gaddar Sena, then Gaddar Divas. So Sanjay Raut wanted to make an issue out of it, and BJP responded. So, and you are conducting the debate, so it's a final that Gaddars are Gaddar, and they are very popular as a Khokhe Sena or a Gaddar Sena. Now BJP is the should have distance.
Kishore ji, just help me understand before we get into the specifics. You are saying they're known to be the Khokhe Sena, they're hollow, they're traitors, they're Gaddar. But you help me understand, if in a political party as many as 40 legislators are unhappy, shouldn't the head of the party should have known anything about it? Shouldn't he have created an environment where these differences could have been spoken about? Because that's the criticism that came from the BJP, that Uddhav Thackeray had no idea what was happening under his nose. And that is why he couldn't even get a whiff as far as his rebellion is concerned.
No, the matter was known to everybody, and it was engineered by the BJP. The ED, CBI were used, and those people who were tortured earlier before the split now being spared. Even Eknath Shinde being spared. And
Kishore Tiwari ji, you've also been in politics for long. If the opposition wants, they can do whatever they want. But if the core of the party is strong, they won't be able to orchestrate any rebellion of any sort. Just help me understand, how did Uddhav Thackeray not know about so many of his legislators and leaders being unhappy? So today, should we actually hear about from Sanjay Raut about declaring this day as Traitors Day, or should the Uddhav Thackeray faction do some sort of rethinking so that this future is not repeated again?
No, Ridhima, we have been retrospectively doing Atma Chintan over the issue. But Ridhima, what engineered for the split and how the money was floated, even Even Tushar will speak the truth. So this has never happened anywhere in the country, and United Nations to respect us, they should allow us to have a international Gaddar Divas, so that people will know that how democracy is being crushed in India.
Let me bring Tushar also in the conversation. I'm not sure how the United Nations would want to respond to the demands of Sanjay Raut. But Tushar, the point that Sanjay Raut and many others within the Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray Shiv Sena faction is that it was a rebellion not because Eknath Shinde wanted to rebel, because of vested interests as far as the BJP is concerned. And they were the ones who were actually calling the shot and orchestrating this entire rebellion.
Well, Ridhima, that's what a political downfall looks like. A year ago, Sanjay Raut was getting the opposition together against Narendra Modi for 2024. Today, he's writing to the grand universe to identify the traitors within the former Shiv Sena and have a World Traitor Day. So this is what the political downfall looks like. Now, I want to ask Tiwari ji that even if the United Nations were to grant Sanjay Raut his wish, shouldn't we start with celebrating the Uddhav Sena? Because the verdict that was in Maharashtra was for the Shiv Sena and the BJP. The Shiv Sena got greedy, they wanted the CM's birth, and for that, they not only went against the BJP, they went against the ideology of Balasaheb Thackeray ji. They went with the two parties Balasaheb Thackeray ji would have never aligned with in his entire lifetime, which were the NCP and the Congress. They compromised on their ideology. They compromised on their core principles. Now, who's the Gaddar here? Your MLAs were not with the Shiv Sena, not because the BJP had any vested interest or because the NCP or Congress couldn't put them together. Your MLAs deserted your party because you compromised on your ideology. Because Uddhav Sena was prioritizing NCP and Congress over his own partymen. Now, why was he doing that? Because he wanted to retain the CM-ship, because he was insecure. That's a different debate. But at the end of the day, if anyone has been cheated, it's you. It's Shiv Sena who's cheated the people of Maharashtra and who's cheated the legacy.
That's exactly the point that the BJP is making, that Tushar in fact is reiterating, and that's what we heard from Teshane of the BJP as well. He's like, if any day has to be declared as Traitor's Day, it should be the 27th of July, because that's when Uddhav Thackeray actually betrayed the ideals of his father. So does the Uddhav Thackeray faction today have any moral high ground when they hit out at the Shinde faction?
Tushar Gupta is speaking like a spokesperson of BJP, but this is the old argument. Let us, we are going to the people and people will decide. But Ridhima, is it an equation that we are disassociating our relationship with BJP, that we also left our ideology? It is a politically minimum common program and all these things. Even BJP has aligned to the parties where they have a very much differences. So it was a political decision. But splitting the party on the pretext of being protected by ED and CBI and khokas of the 50 crore rupees being given, that was not a healthy sign. So this is the government is unconstitutional. It is the death of democracy in Maharashtra. So United Nations should take cognizance and declare it as a International Gaddar Day. Tushar,
leaving the United Nations.
I admire the innocence at play here. I really admire with all my heart the innocence at play here by Mr. Tiwari, who's wishing for the United Nations to take stock of the situation in Maharashtra. It's honestly more innocent than it is,
leaving the pressure that we're building on the United Nations. But Tushar, the point
Tushar, we wanted to make a decision and
one sec, Tiwari ji, one sec. Tushar, but the point that Kishore Tiwari is making, that there is never anything that can be ruled out as far as politics is concerned. Political parties come together for various reasons, politics of relevance, timing, pre-poll, post-poll alliances. So how can that be held against the rebellion of what happened with Eknath Shinde? Because even in the past, BJP would have also allied with parties that are ideologically not seen on the same page.
Ridhima, Mr. Tiwari called out the Eknath Shinde faction as the Khoka Sena or the Karor Sena, which implies were taking the bribe from the BJP and therefore they were willing to jump ship. I have a simple question for Mr. Tiwari, that when the entire Shiv Sena jumped ship in the post-poll alliance, how much money did they take from the Congress and the NCP? If they are levying an accusation against the Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena that there was money taken from the BJP, I want to ask that did the Shiv Sena in a post-poll alliance with the NCP and the Congress also take some money or also give some money to these two parties? Now he's smiling. Now Mr. Tiwari is smiling. But Ridhima, again, the case is similar. Mr. Tiwari is saying that...
One second. I'll come back to you, Tiwari. I'll give you a fair chance. Tushar, finish your point.
No, if he's saying that things happen in politics all the time, politics of relevance, minimum common program, then what is wrong with the MLAs jumping ship? The Supreme Court has heard that case. Yeah. Of all things, it's not even in contention anymore. So if he's okay with parties jumping ship, what's the harm in MLAs jumping ship? Tomorrow, who knows, more MLAs or more members of the Shiv Sena faction may actually jump ship and join the Eknath Shinde faction.
Kishore Tiwari, respond to what Tushar is saying, but also respond to another question that I have. One second. Just respond to what Tushar is saying and also to a question that I have, that in retrospect, does the Balasaheb Thackeray Shiv Sena faction today realize that they could have done a lot better and this rebellion could have been avoided, or they continue to believe that there was no wrongdoing from their part, it was just orchestrated by the BJP?
No. It was engineered by BJP. That's the final, and the people were forced to leave the party. But we decided to leave the BJP or part with BJP because the regional parties are scared with the BJP. In fact, BJP want to finish the Shiv Sena. And they have been trying to do that, and they did it. They did it. Though the split is engineered by a national party who is in power at the center by using the institute under their control. So my allegations are valid, and Tushar is saying that we should have taken a call before joining Congress and NCP to form a government, that we should have been resigned and should got re-elected. So that was a mistake. We did it. But Ridhima, your question is very valid, that the 80% legislator and member of parliaments are leaving the party.
So today also the Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray Shiv Sena faction saying that it was a rebellion that was orchestrated by the BJP because the BJP wanted to gain mileage as far as its own future is concerned. Unfortunately, I'll have to leave that conversation there. I'd like to thank both our guests. Thank you for joining us here on CNN News 18. Time for us to slip into a very short break.
Conducting themselves in the Indian democracy.
Today, NCP will be protesting in Pune to mark Traitors Day. Now, Shiv Sena UBT MP Sanjay Raut has written a letter to UN saying that June 20th should be declared as Traitors Day, and NCP will also be holding a protest in Pune to mark Traitors Day. Now, the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray camp has been speaking about it for the last 2 days. In fact, Uddhav Thackeray had said that after the foundation day of the Shiv Sena, which was yesterday, is the Gaddar Day, that is today. On June 20 last year, remember, Eknath Shinde and some MLAs had gathered at a hotel in Surat to break away from the Mahavikas Aghadi government. CNN News 18's Mumbai Bureau Chief Vinya Deshpande is joining us on this story. Vinya, a very good morning to you. Could you give us more details about this demand that has been raised by the Shiv Sena UBT for declaring June 20th as the Traitors Day?
A very good morning to you. In fact, we have seen that politics over this has been raging in Maharashtra for the last few days, especially on the background of the 57th Foundation Day that was celebrated yesterday by the faction claiming to carry the true legacy of the Shiv Sena and of Balasaheb Thackeray. Now, in view of that, we have seen in the last few days, the UBT faction has kept on having a Eknath Shinde, saying that it was, the Traitors Day, which was to be celebrated after the Foundation Day, which was on the 19th of June, because ostensibly this was the same day when a bunch of MLAs along with Eknath Shinde had in fact on the sly moved to thereby bringing down the government thereafter and changing political equations in Maharashtra almost permanently. So on that background, today several protests have been lined up. In fact, planned protest which is going to take place is the one that is going to be held by the NCP in Pune, but in Mumbai as well. At several locations, police bandobast has been beefed up. May it be Worli, may it be Dadar. It is likely that the Shiv Sena UBT faction as well might protest in order to mark today's day as the Traitors' Day. Meanwhile, Shiv Sena UBT faction member of parliament Sanjay Raut has tweeted early morning today saying that this is a public demand that he has now written to the UN seeking that 20th June be declared as World Traitors' Day. This is ostensibly on the background of the recent fight between the two parties we had seen where Eknath Shinde and his team had boasted about the kind of international reputation that Eknath Shinde has with respect to his work schedule and how internationally several leaders were amazed by his efficiency. And so was there a slamming of Uddhav Thackeray as internationally being chosen as one of the best chief ministers when he was the chief minister. So on that background now there is this fresh war of words that has erupted. We have seen Sanjay Raut put out a fresh tweet saying that today's day should be marked as World Traitors' Day in view of marking the day when all these people went away. So the war of words between both the factions continues. Today we might see some protests in some parts, especially in Pune at least, where the NCP has a stronghold. NCP itself is going to hold a protest. Later in the day, we might see protests in Mumbai as well, but there is no official word on it as of now. But continuing with the war of words, both Uddhav Thackeray as well as the NCP have said in the last few days that today is ostensibly the Traitors' Day because today was the day when Eknath Shinde, along with a bunch of MLAs, had jumped fences and had gone to Surat. Back to you.
Also, Vinaya, do we have any reaction from the Shinde Sena on this Traitors' Day remark?
Well, for the last 2 to 3 days, these remarks have been, made, and that is why we have seen that Eknath Shinde himself, while in his address on the Foundation Day, had spoken about it. Today, as such, there is no fresh response. This is not a fresh war of words anyway. For the last 2 to 3 days, we have seen these kind of reactions go on and off. And to that, Eknath Shinde and his faction have also responded, slamming Uddhav Thackeray and his faction, saying that, we saw even on stage yesterday, Gaddar Din spoke about it, saying that they should not really be called traitors because the reason why the previous government came down was not because of anybody else, but because of the kind of troubles that the Shiv Sena faced at the hands of the NCP, which was taking away and extracting all the funds as well as not giving any prominence to the Shiv Sena. And that was the main reason why the MLAs who felt stifled while sitting in the Mahavikas Aghadi had to actually leave, and that was the main reason that should not be neglected. So we have seen response on this jibe come up from Eknath Shinde and his faction for the last 2 to 3 days. As of today, after Sanjay Raut's tweet, we haven't yet seen any response from them. Back to you.
Also, Vinaya, how is this going to impact the Shinde Sena's image, given that assembly polls are also around the corner next year that are going to happen in Maharashtra? So how is this going to impact the party's image?
Well, we have seen that internally surveys that have been conducted by the Eknath Shinde group do not seem to be favorable for them as of now. They are completely aware that there is some amount of backlash because of the decision that they have taken, and they will have to work their way through. So there is a clear recognition of the challenge because of the narrative that is being used. Also, very simply, Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray faction is playing the victim card and is claiming that, time and again, these are the people who received them. We saw the same line that was taken up by Uddhav Thackeray as well in his Foundation Day speech yesterday, saying that, they have stabbed the womb of a mother, and that is how they have gone through a narrative building with respect to the cadres and to general population, which has been a Shiv Sena follower, has been that the Uddhav Thackeray faction has been at the receiving end and that it has been the victim in this entire game. Now, unless that perception changes, it clearly remains to be a challenge for the Eknath Shinde faction, which it is fully aware of. And that is why we are seeing that despite all these accusations and counter-accusations, Eknath Shinde faction has been in full swing in order to make sure that several leaders of the Uddhav Thackeray faction jump on to the Eknath Shinde faction. Back to you.
All right, Vinaya, please stay with us. We have Shiv Sena UBT's Anand Dubey joining us on the broadcast. आनंद दुबे जी, आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया CNN News 18 से जुड़ने के लिए। आपकी पार्टी ने एक डिमांड करी है कि जून 20 को ट्रेटर्स डे डिक्लेयर कर देना चाहिए। इस पे आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
देखिए, ऐसा जैसे कि हम लोग कहते हैं ना कि आज भाई विश्व का योगा दिवस है, आज अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा दिवस है, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय पर्यावरण दिवस है, ऐसे हम लोग कहते हैं। उसी प्रकार आज ही के दिन महाराष्ट्र में एक ऐसी घटना घटी थी जो दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण थी। एक रनिंग सरकार को कुछ लोगों ने षड्यंत्र करके गिरा दिया था, गद्दारी करके गिरा दिया था।
Shared values between the two countries are so significant. Shared values like democracy, rule of law, a market economy. American citizens who are of Indian descent, they have continued to contribute to the improved relations between the United States and India.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. The countdown to Prime Minister Modi's visit to the United States is now over as the Prime Minister left for the United States this morning. Ahead of his departure, the Prime Minister shared details about his crucial visit. The Prime Minister will first participate in International Yoga Day at the headquarters of the United Nations, where we're understanding delegates from over 190 countries will do yoga along with him. He will then fly down to Washington, D.C., where he will be hosted by the President, Joe Biden, and the First Lady. All of this will happen at the White House, followed by an event for skill development and capacity building. The Prime Minister, we're understanding, will also meet with top CEOs of American multinational companies. The Prime Minister will then address the Indian diaspora and various diaspora events, including meeting with prominent Americans. The Prime Minister, in the statement, also said that he is confident that his visit to the United States will be the next step as far as strengthening relationship between both the countries are concerned. So this is a historic visit, it's a state visit, lot to look forward to as far as what we will see over the next 3 days. Let's also now bring you an important conversation. Three-time Grammy Award winner Ricky Kedge will also be meeting the Prime Minister. I spoke to him some time ago and asked him what he's looking forward to and also the song that he's all set to unveil tomorrow on World Yoga Day. Let's take a look. Well, as the excitement is only increasing for Prime Minister Modi's state visit to the United States, we have with us a very special guest, three-time Grammy winner and composer Ricky Kedge, who's got an invite from the White House. He's now joining us here on CNN News 18. Ricky, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here on CNN News 18.
Always a pleasure to be on CNN News 18. Thank you so much for having me.
Ricky, so we all saw the tweet that you put out with the invite that you got from the White House. Let's begin with that. How excited are you? There is palpable energy. We've been seeing the Indian diaspora get extremely excited. This is a very crucial visit, first state visit that we're seeing by the Prime Minister. How excited are you?
Extremely excited, actually, because I was in New York because I had a performance at the United Nations General Assembly just about 2 or 3 days ago, and I was also conferred my Global Goodwill Ambassador status. And while I was in my hotel room, I suddenly get this email from the White House saying that you've been invited for the event to welcome Prime Minister Modi on his state visit. So I was absolutely excited for this amazing state visit, because at the end of the day, it is one of the oldest democracies on this planet, and also by a huge margin, the largest democracy on this planet. So it's a great moment for the entire planet, not just for us.
Ricky, you've been, on the ground. The Indian diaspora, as I pointed out, is extremely excited. Every time we see the Prime Minister on a foreign trip, he takes out, specific time to meet the Indian diaspora. How is the mood on the ground? What are people telling you?
Now, of course, the mood is very, very exhilarating, to say the least. Just last night, I was being interviewed on Times Square. And as soon as the passerbyers, like Indian and some of them non-Indian, saw that it was an Indian crew and also an Indian person, that is me, they started asking us questions that, is this for Prime Minister Modi's visit? And also at the United Nations, when I was at the headquarters, pretty much every employee is talking about the World Yoga Day celebrations, which is going to happen tomorrow morning on the lawns. And everybody's thinking about this huge thing that is going to happen at the United Nations, and the Prime Minister of India is going to be there. So there's a lot of excitement everywhere, and not just with the Indian diaspora, but especially the Indian diaspora.
Ricky, taking on from what you were saying, there's a lot of excitement also because of the International Yoga Day. Now, if I understand this correctly, you're going to release a new song on the occasion. Could you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. So I'm releasing a new song for World Yoga Day. So the song is called Wonders of Life. And what we've done is that we've collaborated with some amazing sound healers that is called Swaram from Pondicherry, that is Auroville. And they created all of these new musical instruments for sound healing, and we've collaborated on this beautiful musical piece for World Yoga Day. So I'm quite excited about that release too.
Ricky, I know you won't be able to give us much, but is it possible for you to hum us a few lines as a teaser for our viewers?
Actually, I don't sing at all. So the problem is that I'm really scared that if I try singing, then whatever little fans I have will run away. So that's why I never even attempt it. Probably we'll just hope for people to listen to the song once it's out.
Okay. Ricky, I also want to now talk to you about, as you were saying, the entire focus on yoga, the benefits around it. How do you see the kind of push that India has made as far as yoga and its prominence across the world is concerned?
I think yoga is going to become a big force to reckon with in the time to come. It already is, actually. And of course, Prime Minister Modi is quite responsible for the emergence of yoga all over the world because of how much he promotes yoga, number one, and number two is that how he pushed for the World Yoga Day, the United Nations International Day of Yoga, making it an official United Nations Day. So I think right now, as we all know, most healthcare all over the world is all about treatment after you have a disease, and yoga is one of the few forms which actually talks about a life of wellness and preventative healthcare, as they call it in the West. So I believe that yoga is going to become extremely important, not just for our physical health, but for our mental well-being. And everybody is going to recognize that in the time to come.
And this is something that the Prime Minister also has spoken time and again, Ricky, that today what India is doing, the world is also going to take notice of. And we've seen world leaders, many from the world community also take notice as far as India's push towards yoga is concerned. But I also want to talk to you about another aspect, which is your new role as far as the Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations is concerned. One of the issues that we're expecting both the leaders to be discussed is also about climate change. How important do you think that is as part of our conversation today?
I think climate change is the biggest existential threat we've ever faced. There is no two ways about that. And I think it's a very important discussion between these two amazing countries. When it comes to climate change, when it comes to any kind of environmental issues, especially when there are intergovernmental talks, India has always been on the sidelines when it comes to this. And it's only for the last 6-7 years that India has actually taken the leadership when it comes to this. So we are not only participating in these discussions, but we're also taking leadership when it comes to these discussions and bringing about change. A very good example of this is the Solar Alliance that India had announced during the COP21 in Paris, that is in 2015. A beautiful partnership between countries that have a tropical climate to actually create enough electricity that can power up the global south. So I believe that India is taking huge strides when it comes to mitigating the effects of climate change, taking on massive responsibilities and huge ambitious goals. And the way Prime Minister Modi is going with this, I believe that all of these goals are achievable if all of us work together. And that's also the reason why Prime Minister Modi has started his Life Mission. So Life Mission is about lifestyles for environment, and it's all about us taking the power in our own hands as individuals and making changes within our own lives, within our own capacities to bring about change. So I think all of these will contribute strongly to mitigating the effects of climate change and make this world a better place, not just for us Indians, but for everybody everywhere in the world.
Okay, Ricky, we'll leave that conversation there. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Hoping to speak to you sometime soon after this visit is over. Good evening and a warm welcome. You're watching Viewpoint with me, Grihatul Siddiqui. Our top focus today is the Anna Bhagya scheme in Karnataka. One of the 5 guarantees of the Congress ahead of the assembly elections in the state, promising 10 kg of grain per month to every member of all the below poverty line families in the state.